Okay, so many of you have been asking what I personally did to study for the exam or if I knew of any tools or resources. So I did go ahead and poll some of my colleagues, and they gave me some really great information. However, with that said, I personally don't have experience with some of these tools, so I'm sharing them with you. However, as I said, I don't personally have experience, but these are things that resources that my colleagues did find effective when studying for the exam. The one that was very, very, very highly talked about by multiple colleagues was Pass the Big ABA exam. I did link their website there, but they have a series of study books, but also mock exams. Many of my colleagues really, really found this to be a useful resource and attributed their success with the exam to that item solely. So check it out for sure. The next one that a lot of people talked about was FIT's information. So they have mock exams as well and a guided review. The guided review is fairly new. I don't have a lot of information on that. The mock exams people found extremely useful. They said they thought it was actually harder than the real exam. So that's another really great tool and resource. Um, CBA modules, so the ones that you guys have been required to do for coursework throughout your BACB courses with PSU, those modules, other people did them on their own and they did them to fluency and they found that very effective. Um, Another thing that people did that is somewhat time consuming but free was just make flashcards. So they went through the entire Cooper book and took every term and made a flashcard for the definition. So they studied those, but then some people also recorded themselves reading it and then would listen to it in the car, at the gym, doing their errands, cooking, all of that good stuff. Um, Another thing that they did with flashcards that was useful was fluency drills. I personally did this myself. Fluency drills with a partner I found extremely effective and beneficial. So I would have someone read off the definition and I would have to provide the term within 5 seconds. If I didn't get the term, that was put into the unknown pile and then we just moved on. And we did that for 5 minute intervals. Um, at the end of the 5 minute interval, any of the terms that were put off to the side, I was then given a second chance by basically hearing the term and then providing the definition. Those fluency drills were really effective for me. Something that we all do as practitioners is take data. So another useful tool is just taking data on yourself, progress monitoring. So a lot of my colleagues took data on their acquisition or fluency and then organized that information by task lists, and that helped drive areas that they needed to study more. Um, all really useful tools and suggestions. Another thing that I found really just effective, and you've heard me saying this last quarter as well, but just talking the talk. So while you're in the field and interacting with other practitioners, using the terminology and then translating the terminology into layman terms. So really showing that you understand it, can apply it, and also explain it. And that was really effective for me, is just absorbing myself into a community that all spoke the language and understood the concepts and the principles and applying it to my everyday work. That really helped with those scenario questions on the exam. As I get more feedback from colleagues on how they studied or certain things to study, I will keep posting those. That is sort of just the first round of information I gathered for you guys in terms of study tips. I hope it's useful.